Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurur Brahma. So, starting from verse number 57. Now in 57, what he said was that Swapno Jagrano Lika Swapnepi Nahi Jagaraha. So each of the states that we are in, right, of Avasthatraya, they are mutually exclusive and one precludes the other. So you'll have to give me a little bit of time to change my internet connection. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay. So, so what he said was the three states are the Trayavastha, they are mutually exclusive. The sleeper is in the deep sleep. When he is in the dreaming state, he knows or is aware of the fact that there was sleep in the earlier state, and in the dream state, he is completely in the dream. He believes the dream to be true. It is when he becomes the waker that he realizes that there is a sleep state and the dream state. Is there a state where all these three states can be perceived? In the Jagrata Avastha, I am aware of the dream state, I am aware of the sleep state, right? Or at least I am aware of the memory of those states. But is there a place or is there a time or is there an avastha in which I can be aware of the fourth state? And that is what in the Mandukya Upanishad very clearly says, Turiya Avastha. Turiya Avastha. To that effect, Acharya goes ahead in verse number 58 and he says that these three states are created by the three gunas. The three guna, when we reach in the Bhagavad Gita, when we reach ahead and we will look at the gunas, we will understand them in much more detail. But here, let us understand Trayameva Bhavin Mithya. The word Mithya has been wrongly interpreted and translated as false. It's not really false. False and untrue are two different words. If I can be very hair splitting in my definition, then untrue does not mean false, right? False. So here when we say Jagan Mithya, Brahmaiva Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Mithya does not mean that it is false, that it does not exist. It exists and yet is an appearance, right? It is transitory. So here, therefore, in that sense, where we use this word, that if you look at Gurudev's translation in the book also, he uses the word unreal. Mithya does not mean false. It means unreal. So, asat, right? Which is why if you look at the beautiful invocation that is quite often used in many programs, Asato ma satkamaya, it basically is saying asat, meaning take us from that which is unreal to that which is eternally real. Not from, let us take us from ignorance, from untruth to truth. No, it has nothing to do with truth and untruth, right? And From the word Sat, existence, comes the word Satya, which is truth. Satya. That which is existing, therefore, by definition, has to be true. And hence the word Satya. So, well, anyway, not getting into the philology of Sanskrit here. So basically, Trayameva Bhaven Nitya. Guna Traya Vinirmitam. They are created by the three gunas. Asya Drishta Gunatito Nityo Ekaschidatmakaha. So only that which is the witness, Asya Drishta meaning he who is the witness to all of these. Now, here, let us understand this. Let me first try and go into the whole principle of this, what we are seeing in front of us, right? What is called the so-called Jagat. Now, if I say the word pen, what comes into your mind? Right? This has come into your mind. Now, when I say pen, automatically in your mind, something got created. So the word pen has the power to have created something in your mind. Did it have any substance? Does that pen that is there in your mind, does it have any substance? So the word pen merely means a name given to a particular form. Correct? So we understand this. From here, we can start now breaking it up. So therefore, if this is being called a pen, the cause of this pen, what is the cause of this pen? Anybody, what is the cause of this pen? The pen is an effect, right? It is something that got created. So what is the cause?
By cause, you mean the need to write?
The manufacturing process.
Okay, good. Now, under the manufacturing process, it used certain material. Correct? Whenever we look at cause, whenever we look at a cause, we have two causes. The manufacturing process is what we call the nimitta karana. Nimitta, meaning the intelligent or the efficient cause. And then it also has a upadana karana, material cause. Correct? So you identified, you said this is a material cause. The intelligent cause is what is called the manufacturing process. What is the material cause? The material cause is plastic. Right. Now, what is the material cause? What is the cause for the plastic?
I mean, the root product is still oil-based, petroleum.
Okay, so what is the cause of petroleum?
But isn't there a third cause, the one that Sunilji was alluding to? I don't know what you call that, Nimitta Karanam, Upadana Karanam, and there's one third one, which is the reason for something.
What I said initially was need to write. I mean, that was the purpose why it got
created. That is a purpose. That is a purpose. We are not looking at purpose here. We are just going back into reducing this to its elements.
So ultimately, everything will reduce to that Panchatattva, if that's the...
Okay. Now, what is the cause of the Panchatattva? Very good. आगे चलिए.
अभी ओहो इसीलिए समीर जी के साथ हैं. आगे जाने के लिए.
See, if this can be reduced, then it is not, obviously it is an effect and not a cause, right? And I can keep going down to a point where I will reach by mere intelligent analysis to a point where I will say that I can't go beyond. I have reached a point which is causeless, or rather, there is a causeless cause. Now, the moment you reach that point, you have caused yourself to be painted into a corner. Because you are saying it is a cause, it exists, and yet it has it did not have a cause in itself. Can I reach that point? That is the definition of Brahman. Now that is the
this
definition
the
of.
Manan that you asked us to do?
So obviously, that is why we are leading up there, no?
No, because the reason I was hoping we'll discuss that Manan, because I went in a completely different track.
Okay, let's start there. Fair enough. Let's start there.
So you asked us to look at some object and consider what it was before it became that object.
Correct.
And I was looking at the object and I started getting more fascinated by the fact that what we regard as an object itself is only maybe 99.5% is nothingness. And then maybe 0.5% or even less is actual what we consider material. And then I started looking at what is holding that thing together and why is it that we perceive all that. And I was going off, and it was quite a fascinating journey to think about how materials come together and what might be causing the materials to come together and hold together and stay together and all that. But I don't think I was going for the direction that you wanted.
We have a finance professional and a science professional, and both of them have taken different paths, right? But if you just keep going back to the source. Now, my question is that source, right? At every stage when we moved it into one source, there were two reasons. One, the efficient cause that transformed it, and the material cause that caused the transformation. Both had to be existing. At one point, both of these appear to merge, beyond which I can't, at least logically or intellectually, can't proceed. And I reached that one point where both the nimitta karana and the upadana karana become one. And beyond that, there is no karana at all. Logically, I can arrive at that point. Is that my final conclusion? Can that actually exist? Is the question that we, as an intelligent person, we need to ask. Now, therein lies where our intellect stops functioning, and now takes in the role of our intuitive understanding. And our intuitive understanding says that there must be a point of origin which had no origin before. That, by definition, is Brahman. So here he says that each of these transformations that you are seeing, the three states that you are in, all of them are mere transformations of the upadana karana and the nimitta karana. And as we keep going backward, at this point of time, you had a process. Then you had an originator of a process. Then you had somebody who invented a process, so on and so forth. See, right? It keeps going back into a point when there was no process at all. So when these lines converge into this particular point, that point of origin, whether you want to call it the Big Bang, then my question will be what existed before the Big Bang, right? So all of these that come to that point of origin, that is what we call that infinite, from which all the causes by definition arose, is what we call as Brahman. So why does the Acharya talk about the gunas here? Because in each of the three states, there is a play of gunas. We will see that in the Gita also, that the gunas, they have a play. So you can't actually classify somebody as saying, oh, he's basically a sattvic person, he is a rajasic person, he is a tamasic person, he has a lot of clarity, he has... so, again, Gurudev uses very interesting words. He says sattvic is the tendency of unactivity, whereas tamas is the state of inactivity. He uses two different negatives to define the two. Now, Socrates, in one of his essays, which have come to us from Plato, he says that the extremes of everything are very similar. And then he uses very lot of material examples, right? For example, he says that when you are extremely happy, you will cry. When you are extremely sad, you will cry, right? And so on and so forth. He uses all these. Now, extreme of sattva and extreme of tamas at an external level appear to have the same thing, no action happening. But the intent behind both of them become completely different. So here, we understand from when, if you read the explanation given by in the book by Gurudev's translation, which I'm sure all of you are using, you will find that this clarity will come through. That you need to understand that the extremities may appear to be the same. Inactivity and unactivity. And unactivity basically means, and I think I've told this story many times, but I think it deserves retelling at this point, that the gunas, while sattva has been given a very high position, and there is always this definition of sattva which comes across as being pure, right? Purity. And tamas being defined in English, it comes across as ignorance, sloth, delusion, etc., etc. The story is Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa's story, where he says that there was this person traveling through the forest and he's accosted by 3 robbers. And the 3 robbers, immediately they start reacting to this individual. And one of them says, "Let me kill him." The other one says, "Let me bind him." And both of them run away. One tries to go and find a knife or a weapon to kill. The other tries to go and find a rope to which to bind. The third one catches hold of him, holds his hand, takes him to the edge of the forest and says, "There, you see that glowing city over there? Go there. That's your destination." So this traveler turns around and he asks this robber and says that, "Why don't you also come along? You have come all the way up to here. Why don't you join me and leave this forest with all those people who are wanting to kill and bind and so on and so forth?" So the third robber says, "No, no, no. My job is to take people to the edge. I will remain in this forest." Sattva by itself is not freeing. Sattva creates the ground for freedom. Freedom ultimately is a choice that we have. It's our choice. We need to, the traveler needed to say, "Okay, now I've seen the city, but I now want to still remain in the forest. I want to play around." Then you're done for. You keep playing in the forest. So that is in understanding of the 3 gunas. We understand this. And here he says that which is never negated, that is that consciousness. He who disidentifies himself with these 3 states and identifies with that 4th state has identified with that particular form or has identified with that ultimately causeless cause, Chidatma. Chidatma. Right? Acharya here, to use his famous Nirvana Shatakam, says, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. Yes, Ramaji.
Yeah, actually, while I was doing this, there's another manan that came to me, a little bit of an epiphany, which is simultaneously humbling. You mentioned about science guy versus arts guy versus commerce guy. You know, I was thinking, in the way we are taught, we group our knowledge groupings into science stream, art stream, commerce stream, and also, but the way we pay the people who take these streams, we tend to hold the science stream at a higher thing than the art stream. Nowadays, the commerce stream is going up much higher. Whatever it is, we seem to give different mahatva to each of these streams. But I was thinking, for us, knowledge, the goddess of knowledge, how is she depicted? She's got a veena in her lap. The Adi Yogi is defined as a lot of dance. I mean, for our rishis, they looked at knowledge not in the form of these streams, but the purpose of knowledge is to create enjoyment, happiness, bliss. And so they looked at knowledge as only as a tool towards getting this bliss or knowledge or happiness. And so they did not have any, this is better knowledge, that is better knowledge. They seem to give the same level of importance to all these streams of knowledge. This, I got it kind of, in a sense, it has chipped away a little bit at my ego. I always used to think science guy, I'm better. And now I felt, it is a bit of a hindrance in many ways.
So I'll respond to this in two different ways. One, we all study very deeply and pass all examinations and get through the toughest examinations in the world. And those who have passed their CA exams will always claim that the CA final is the toughest exam in this entire universe. So if the passing percentages are a reflection, then that is somewhat true. However, having done all that, what do? You go and join a businessman who is class 10 pass, right? Who does the businessman go and do seva to? Well, he does it to a politician who is class 3 pass. So then where does the politician go? He goes to the Babaji, who never went to school. Right? So the hierarchy is very clear, no? Now, whether the Babaji is really a Babaji or not, that is a different question. That is completely a different chapter to open up. What you opened up just now, on a more deeper thought. You see, one is knowledge in its pure form. Then there is application of knowledge. Good that you raised this, because I get a lot of, being a Sri Vidya Upasak myself, a lot of people come to me asking me what is the difference between the Vedic method and the Tantric method and so on and so forth. Now, Tantra is not bothered about the origin of something. Tantra is bothered about, or rather is interested in, how I apply it for my evolution. So anything that can be applied, hence each of the deities that we look at, the iconography in the Tantric method changes. And therefore, if you look at Saraswati, the Tantric definition of Saraswati in the Chandi part, the Saptashati, right, part of the Markandeya Purana, which is normally read across the whole of North India during the Navratri. After chapter 1, in chapter 1, there is a description of Mahalakshmi. Then there is a description of Gauri, right, of Parvati or Gauri, whatever we want to call her. And then there is a description of Mahasaraswati, Dhyana Shloka. And the Dhyana Shloka depicts her as a warrior goddess. 18 hands, Khadaga, Gada, Mashula, Khevata, etc., etc. She is holding 18. So the Tantric versions were based on application. And application for anything, it did not matter. Right? And there was no judgment. This is right application, wrong application. But the classification was very clear. If you apply wrongly, it will rebound on you. It will cause you problems. But it is power. You can use it. That was the path that Tantra took. So, coming back to where you were talking about, the Puranic or the Vedic descriptions of the deities took only the Sattvic portion and therefore depicted these devis in a very peaceful, peace-loving sort of application. So only the Veena is there, or only Lakshmi is sitting only there with lotuses in her hand and showering gold. The calendar art very clearly shows all of that, right? Or Parvati will be shown as a very demure young woman sitting next to her husband, very adoringly looking at her husband. The Tantric version accepts the other side also and says that there can be a immensely powerful physical application of this power. How you want to use it is completely different. And therefore, there is no judgment of saying, oh, science is better than arts, is better than commerce, is better than whatever. So you're right to that extent that the rishis never classified into higher, lower. And then they said that all of this is Vidya. Jnana is completely different. Jnana is that knowledge which frees you, which is a definition of Brahman. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Taittiriya Upanishad very clearly declares that which exists, that which is pure knowledge, and that which is endless is Brahman. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Jnana here, therefore, clearly indicates the transcendental knowledge that goes beyond Vidya. It goes beyond Vidya. And therefore, the entire journey of whatever our rishis were going through, an internal journey, was aimed at arriving at this jnana. So, moving on to the next shloka. Now, next few shlokas are all examples of this particular statement that he has made, Acharya has made. What is the example? The example here he says, the first example that he says that we see a pot, right? We see a pot and we identify it as a pot, and we are unable to identify the plastic in the pen. That is one part of type of illusion. The other is a superimposed illusion. One is an illusion that is caused by not reaching to the source. The second is an illusion that is caused by superimposition. The superimposition is, here he uses an example saying that the shell on a sea beach, on which there is this layer of mother of pearl, and there is moonlight shining on it. In the Adhyasa Bhashya, when we were doing the Adhyasa Bhashya, we very clearly saw this example. Acharya brought this up again over there. And some of the examples that you will see here today, or you will find them reflected in his writings in Adhyasa Bhashya, also in Brahma Sutra. So he says that superimposition, that you see that reflection of the moonlight on the mother of pearl, and you feel that it is a piece of silver. Now, how does your delusion go away? So let us first look at the shloka itself. Yadvan ridighata bhranti shukto varajata sthitim tadvad brahmani jivatvam bhrantya pashyati nasvataha. So the literal translation as given by Gurudev here is saying that just as mud has to be seen in the pot, or the mother of pearl is misunderstood as silver, so too Brahman is mistaken as Jiva due to ignorance, and it is not so in reality. Na swataha, not in reality. Now, there are two different types of confusions or delusions that have been referred to here. One is the reference to the mud being seen in the pot, right? That is what we just now did. The manan that led from this pen to that ultimate reality called Brahman, right? Going back to the source of an object. The second is the mother of pearl looking like silver. Now, do you understand that these two are very different from each other? Both of these delusions are very different from each other. Any idea as to why I'm saying this? Can you think this through?
Yeah, because the pen, you are still able to say that it's the plastic, and then going down further. The other one is actually delusion. It is never silver. It appears to be silver.
Yes. So the methods of getting rid of both of these, you are absolutely right. The methods of getting rid of these two are also therefore different. In the first one, the only method that I could have applied is my mental acuity, my mental concentration, manan. And I go deeper. In the other, there is physical examination, right? So there is physical examination. You go there, you pick up, you look at it, and as you pick it up and the angle changes, oh, there is no reflection, there is nothing, there is not a silver, it's a shell. So the whole study of this entire physical universe, and to understand its delusory nature, or rather illusory nature, is in two ways. One, first, the physicality of everything, we need to understand that it is changing. The moment you changed your relative position to that mother of pearl shine, it stopped being a mother of pearl, it stopped being silver and became a shell. Right? The angle changed, the reflection changed, your position changed, whatever happened, something, your physical position changed. So the moment you, in relation to this physical world, change position, you realize that it is transitory. That is the first level. Here Acharya puts the second one because of poetic license, but that's the first step. Now, once we have crossed that step, then you say, fine, then what is the source? What is behind this? And now you start the process of settling down your mind and going into the vichara. Now, this is what we are doing right now, is the perfect example of what we call the Advaitic meditation. Meditation in Advaita does not mean sitting down and doing Nama Japa. Nama Japa is a preparatory step in Advaita. Right? In the Dvaita school, Nama Japa, it's the final step, one of the final steps. Right? Doing, if you go to ISKCON, for example, the minimum required to, as a mandate will be given to you is that you have to do 16 rounds of your Japamala. Right? 16 rounds is 16 into 100, which is 1,600 times, plus 16 into 8, or 8 extra, whatever. So you have to sit down and do that many names, that many malas of your Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, etc., etc. Right? And that is apparently the step that will take you to the next level, and so on and so forth. Advaita says that mantra japa is a preparatory step, getting you to sit down and focus your mind into training your mind to be able to sit down in one place. Mind obviously being a markata, it is jumping around. Asthira and chanchala, Krishna says, right? So being asthira, being chanchala, you have to train it to sit down. How do you train it to sit down? All the methods that we have been using. You can use Mala Japa, you can use the Soham meditation that we do, or you can use breath watching, you can do Vipassana, you can do any method. All of those in Advaita are acceptable, because they are only preparatory to allowing you to sit down and concentrate your mind. Once you have concentrated your mind, then your intellect can now start functioning into what is called Atma Vichara. This Atma Vichara can go on now. Once you have got used to this, it can go on constantly. It doesn't need to be something that you have to do in sitting down in one place. You're constantly thinking. So the moment you're constantly thinking and going beyond, now you are inquiring into the nature of the self. Atma Vichara. That is the process of the Advaitic Vichara, as it is said. So this ignorance that we have, very clearly we have seen that at an individual level, ignorance is called, anybody remembers? What is ignorance at an individual level called?
Avidya.
Correct. And ignorance at a cosmic level?
Maya.
Maya. And it's the same. Correct? They're both the same. So, ignorance at an individual level, what is this ignorance? This ignorance is my identification with my present construct as the final entity. When that identification is the primary source, for that matter, you see, what is the purpose? Somebody asked me this, and I with the grace of Ishvara, I had a spontaneous answer, which I think was a very apt answer at this point of time. Fine, I understand that you have to sit down and do this Atma Vichara and so on and so forth. What is the benefit of that? Why should I do it? Any answer?
To have a strong intellect.
To have a strong intellect, the vichara can only be done if you have a strong intellect. So the whole idea is, firstly, you need to create the strong intellect. So the intellect is already created.
See, there is a certain peace of mind that comes as we do the vichara and we start to understand something, and the moment we understand, there is this joy, this bliss that comes. I think that's worth it, because that is what we're after.
Okay. Any other thought, Meena ji? क्यों करना है आत्मविचार? क्यों करना है? क्या लाभ है?
यदि मुझे अपने
आत्मा
आप को प्राप्त करना है तो आत्मविचार करना ही होगा,
नहीं, आपको अपने आप को
और
क्यों प्राप्त करना है?
क्योंकि वही मेरी लास्ट डेस्टिनी है, वही मेरा
ओके,
अंतिम स्थान है।
ओके, सुनील जी।
I feel that is what you are. That is what I am. I want to, if I have to search myself, I have to go inside.
Okay,
And
my
so I am not sharing, I am not, the whole,
but
what you,
aren't all of you starting with a basic premise that you have taken my word as saying that you are not the body, mind, and intellect as the final statement, and you have accepted that, and you are therefore jumping into this? What is
no,
my
that I think we will
No,
realize
I
over a
don't
period
think
of
so.
time. But
See,
as of today, I would like to believe in my guru, na, that my guru is saying, okay, you are not the mind, body, intellect. Let me go down that path. Someday I will realize that for myself.
okay?
so
But today, what I mean, if I question and challenge and keep on saying, "Arey, Samir ji bol rahe, arey, nahi, kya hai? What is this and all?" I will never ever get there.
Okay.
true, but while the direction of thought has been influenced with what you have said, there is always a questioning. That is, why is this being said like this? And I'm blessed that I have a son who will question double what I question. So he forced me to actually go and ask the question,
Let-
because he asks tough questions on his own. So
So,
it helps, and
so the answer is
it has
yeah.
to be that way,
Okay.
like Nachikar said, no.
Nachiketas.
Netrikan
Nachiketas.
Nachiketa said that Netrikan Tandalum Kutram Kutrame. He questioned Lord Shiva, and he pointed the mistake what Lord Shiva had done. Then Shiva was getting angry.
Okay,
His third eye was
not,
opening, and
yes.
he said, "I don't care."
So this is the Madurai story. So the name of the saint, I've forgotten the name of the saint, not Nachiketas.
So Nachiketa or Nachikar or something like that. I don't remember his exact name. Yeah.
Nachikar. Yeah, right. So anyway, coming back to the answer, if from my perspective, what are we actually searching? We are searching eternal. We are searching peace, right? We are searching bliss. We are all wanting to be happy. If we are a human being in our normal rational thinking, then we all want to be happy. Is that a statement we can begin our entire investigation from? Right? We all want to be happy. There are some people. One very interesting person, somebody connected with me from one of my past lives, was possibly my mother in one of my past lives, who I happened to reconnect in this life again. She very clearly told about somebody else who we knew, that person, she has what is called dukkha vilas. Vilas means happiness. Dukkha vilas. I am happy when I am unhappy. If I don't have a problem, then I am very unhappy. I need problems around me. Right? You will find people also like that. Even these people are actually searching for happiness. Correct? So the primary, the basic premise starts with saying that each human being wants to be happy. Now, any happiness that I get seems to go away after a certain period of time. Some go away immediately, some go away after a little bit of time. Right? In some of the traditions of India, the सबसे श्रेष्ठ दान किस चीज को माना जाता है जानते हैं?
Vidya, giving knowledge.
No. Bhojana dana. Making a person sit down and eat is the best of all dana. Can you guess why?
Because भूखे पेट भजन नहीं होता है.
नहीं, उसके लिए नहीं.
तो
उसको बस
भोजन
बोलना
करके
पड़ता है. उसको बस बोलना पड़ता है. Even if it is temporary, he has to say bus. Right? You give him a house, he will say इसके अंदर में बाथरूम ठीक नहीं है. You give him one shirt, he will say दो शर्ट नहीं दिया. Right? You give him a Ferrari, he will say Lamborghini क्यों नहीं दिया. It doesn't matter. There will always be something better at that point of time itself, even right then. Whereas for bhojan, there will be a point where he says, "Aur nahi, maaf kar de baba, aur nahi kha sakta main." Now, what will happen after that? 45 minutes later, he will say, "Acha, coffee mil sakti hai kya?" So, हमारा बस नहीं हो रहा है. तो ऐसा कोई पॉइंट है क्या? तो पहला प्रेमाइस क्या था कि मुझे हैप्पीनेस पहुंचना है. माय सेकंड प्रेमाइस इज देयर अ पॉइंट वेयर आई कैन से दैट आई एम नाउ सैटिस्फाइड एंड आई विल नॉट एवर बी अनसैटिस्फाइड. दैट इज व्हाट लीड्स टू दिस सर्च. दैट इज व्हाई आई नीड टू सर्च दिस. नाउ लेट मी पुट इट दिस वे. Every grief that you have suffered, every grief has originated because you are limited. I'm making a very bold statement. Every grief has come from the fact that you are limited. Oh, my son doesn't listen to me. He is causing the problem. No. It is your limitation to be unable to explain to him in a manner where he will listen to you. And that frustration within us, and this has been studied by in the Western science, in a science called neuro-linguistic programming. They've studied this very deeply. They said the source of all unhappiness is within me. Now, if the source of all unhappiness, every grief that you have suffered, has come from your limitation, then can I remove those limitations? What is that which is unlimited? That, Upanishad says, is that which is asti bhati priyam. That which is, this is the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, beautiful here. Asti, that which is, that which shines, bhati. Shines meaning is conscious, aware. And priyam, that which is dear. What is dear? Happiness. That was Sat Chit Ananda. The journey reality is, it has to move from asti to asmi. I exist. Bhami. I shine. Priyam. I am dear. That asti to asmi, bhati to bhami, priyam to priyam, that journey where I then see no duality is where I become limitless. That is why we are studying this. Isn't this so very powerful that our Upanishads, they very clearly gave us all the solutions to the problems that we might be facing in our lives. So here the Acharya very clearly states in the next verse, same thing. Yatha mridi ghato nama. Yatha mridi, mridi means earth or mud. Ghato nama kanake kundala bhida. Right? So here he says that we talked about this, right? The pot is only a name. Kundala bhida. Kundala bhida is the kundala, is the earring. The kundala, it is basically gold. Sukto hi rajata khyati. Right? So the sukto means the mother of pearl, shell, seep. In that, the rajata khyati, there's the idea of silver. Jiva shabda tatha pare. So the word jiva is only a name given to this deluded individual who in reality is asmi, bhami, priyaha. Beautiful area for doing manan. Then there is no duality. Then there is nothing that exists in this world excepting me. Then in that case, can I interact with this world? Will I interact with this world? Yes, you will still interact with this world, because at this in the Brahma Sutra, when we were studying the Brahma Sutra, we saw that our reality exists in the three levels of reality, right? Paramarthika, and in the lower level we have the Vyavaharika.
Vyavaharika.
And there is the transitionary state. In the Vyavaharika Satta, when I'm operating in the world. So you can say, oh, everything is only Brahman. So reality, what you are talking is does not exist. Take this, whatever, this is the case for the AirPods. Take this and bang it on your head. And you should not be feeling anything. No. That is not what is being said. What is being said is that this is made of the same Panchatattva as this head, and the source of both these Panchatattvas is nothing but Brahman. The Upadana Karana and the Nimitta Karana of this entire universe is nothing but Brahman. That does not mean that once these individualities have become different at a Vyavaharika level, they will not operate that way. Which is why in the Bhagavad Gita, when asked how does a Sthita Pragya behave, he says he sleeps, he eats, he drinks ashnan, swapan, swashan, etc., etc. What changes is the way in which the person interacts with this world internally. To go back to the rope and the snake exists because of the rope. The snake cannot exist if there is no rope. Right? We understand that. The snake exists only because there is a rope. If there is no rope, there is nothing, no snake can exist. And my mind, which has the game to play. Right? My vasanas. Now, the light was shown. Somebody needed to show the light. Right? My guru took the lantern, showed me the light. Took the torch, showed me the light. And I went through the illusion and I saw the rope. Now, if I continued to show, he's showing me the light and I still see the snake, the problem is mine, not my guru's. He's done his job. He's shown the light. Correct? Now, let's say that, oh, I've been a good student and I've seen that and I've seen the rope. Now, the moment he puts off the light or he walks away, the snake reappears. Because the snake was there in my mind. It still reappears. But I am no longer afraid of it. My attitude towards that snake has completely changed. So I can still see the snake. That is this transition from saying, oh, this world exists, asti. Similarly, I also exist, asmi. This world is nothing but consciousness, bhati. I also am equally conscious, bhami. This world is in full of bliss, priyam. I am the same. And hence, you move to that beautiful statement from the Mahavakyas. I am that. Soham. I will leave you with one more shloka for the Manan. Verse number 61. Yathaiva vyomni neelatvam yatha neeram marusthale. Very, very simple analogies again he's using. There is a blueness in the sky, or there is water in the desert, right? The mirage in the desert. Marichika is the actual word. Here, instead of using marichika, he's saying water, neeram. Purushatvam yatha sthano. So therefore, when we see the post, sthano means post. Sthanu is the name of Shiva also, right? A post doesn't move around. That which is firm, sthanu. So that post appeared as a pillar of fire at a place called Tiruvannamalai, Arunachal. In the Puranic stories, it appears as a pillar of fire. That is where he is then named as Sthanu. Sthanu. So here he says Purushatvam is appearing in Sthanu. Gurudev used to use the word ghost in the post. Right? He uses the word ghost in the post. Purushatvam yatha sthanu tadvadvisham chidatmani. Such in this universe is the absolute consciousness. This is the shloka for Manan for the next class. Should we end? शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।